You joined me on the Gunther Werks stand here at SEMA 2017 in front of what I think is probably the prettiest and coolest and most carbon fibre clad at the show. Before we get into that, here is Amjad Ali, who is the technical director of the company. So we're going to have a walk around and you're going to tell me every glorious detail about this. Start off, this isn't a standard car, is it? What are we looking at here?
So this is what we call our 400R conversion. And this is based on a 993 Carrera 2 platform. So we take the original car and we basically rebuild the car from the ground up. So the whole ethos of this car is we were trying to imagine if Porsche had made a GT3 RS version of the 993, what would it look like? And this is sort of our take on what we think they would have made.
So let's start off with the front with the aesthetics.
This car is very much a case of function over form. When we started out to design this car, the whole ethos behind it was performance. One of the things the old air-cooled Porsches were very, very bad for was understeer. In order to fix that issue, we looked at Porsche Motorsport. What they did was they widened the track. So the first thing we did was we widened the front track by 60 millimeters. We looked at the wheel and tire fitments that we were looking at with the basic suspension geometry that we'd already calculated. And we ended up with a car that has a 63-inch square track. And no current Porsche has a track this wide. Even the latest 991.2 GT3 has, I think, a 61.5-inch track. So the form was then dictated by that functionality, which was to make the car handle. It had to look very Porsche-like. It couldn't look aftermarket. The aim was to produce something that looked as if it would have come out from the factory.
Yeah, so 25 are going to be built.
Yep.
What's the base price? What are we looking at?
So you bring this to your Carrera 2, they start off at $525,000. They can go up to about $680,000 depending on specifications. And it takes about 8 months to build one. The front hood, the front fenders, the bumper, the side skirts, the rear quarter extensions, the rear wing, the roof, everything is pre-preg carbon fiber. What we wanted to do is we wanted to update the car, but without losing the essence and the character of the car. So I'll give you some examples of that. These cars, although they understeer, they're very famous for the steering feel, which is very, very good. And that's all down to the hydraulic steering system. But what we did was, when you look at the way the hydraulic system works, you have a rear engine car, you have a steering rack at the front of the car, you have these heavy hydraulic lines, and we have the pump and the bracket, plus it uses 20 horsepower.
Yeah.
The same with the air conditioning. Huge bracket, huge pump, weighs about 35 pounds. And again, it runs from the back to the front of the car. So what we did was, we worked with a company in the UK who produced an electric air conditioning and heating system for the car. And this is the very first kit they've ever made for a 993.
Amazing.
So we now have electric air conditioning and heating, which only uses 1 horsepower. The power steering, it's an electric hydraulic pump in the front. When you're driving the car, you wouldn't even know it's any different. Okay. You've still got all that feel, that precision, but we've moved it to the front of the car and we've reduced a hell of a lot of weight. And that's exactly what they did with the Porsche air-cooled race cars. They had an electric hydraulic pump in the front. So again, we went back to the motorsport to get our inspiration for the Porsche solutions.
And what kind of weight distribution are we looking at?
So now it's 60-40 at the moment, but that's going to get even better, which is about, a standard 911 is about 68% rear bias. And to give you an idea of the weight savings that we've done, we've removed the lead acid battery, and there's a lithium ion battery in there that only weighs 2 kilos.
Wow.
Which is what, 4 pounds?
Yeah.
3.8 pounds. So the original battery is 23 pounds.
Yeah, you guys are serious about weight saving.
And again, our headlamps, these are bi-LED.
Carbon fibre in there as well.
Our carbon fibre shroud inside. This is all milled aluminium. Mm-hmm. And our LED running light as well for the car.
May I?
Of course you can.
Oh,
that noise is still there.
That's so good.
This is our own lightweight carbon buckets. Hands-tooth inserts, carbon fibre mats.
It's set up for my driving style as well. It's a sign.
So we've got steering wheel, everything's traditional Porsche. We've got these bezels on the rings, and they're designed to look like an expensive wristwatch. And there's 6 cutouts on those. The reason there's 6 is for the 6-cylinder engine. Recalibrated speedometer, recalibrated rev counter that revs to 7,800 RPM. It's got sat nav, it's got USBs, it's got Bluetooth, 431 horsepower, 320 pounds-foot of torque. This is going to be a sub 4-second car to 60.
Really?
It only weighs 2,670 pounds, which is 1,214 kilograms. So this has got 360 horsepower per ton. That's more than the current 991 GT3, 991.2, which is only 352 horsepower per ton.
Yeah.
So purely from that point of view, this car is going to be
rapid.
Seriously quick.
I am now joined by Mr. Jeff Gumroth. Very nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So they refer to Jeff as 200R because you are half of the company apparently, which is very high praise. Because you are the man who built this motor. So let's start from the ground up. What is the base unit? What have you done? How many man hours are in this?
Man hours is a tough question because it's a culmination of a lot of years of experience in building large displacement air-cooled engines. But the engine is the original crankcase out of the car, and it has a new 4-liter crank, Porsche crank, GT3 oiling system. It's 4 liters instead of 3.6. But from there, it goes out with custom cylinders, custom rods, custom pistons, custom cylinder heads. The cylinders are made in the UK. Rods, pistons, heads are all made in the US. Cams are made in the US to my spec. Heads are my spec, made here. The throttles are mine. I have them made in the UK. I got some good partners there. And then all the rest of the fuel injection bits are made in the US, made in Oregon. And the fan is actually a one-of-a-kind billet fan made in Canada. The belt drive is mine, made here. Basically, the engine's a collection of parts that we've developed over years of doing this. We build our own wiring harnesses. We use Motec management. It's a coil-on plug motor as opposed to the distributor. The exhaust system is my header design. We use a GT3 center muffler because of this. It's got 2 paths for loud and quiet, which we're taking advantage of on this. We actually have a button that'll switch it. And it sounds killer, makes good power. It's relatively lightweight. It has really broad torque and has really good throttle response.
And what clutch and flywheel have you got?
We're using a standard Sachs clutch with the RS single mass flywheel.
Talk to me about this air filter.
Well, this is something that Amjad called me up and says, hey, he says, I got this company in the UK that make these killer air cleaners. This is a company called eVenturi out of the UK, and they've got really killer kit, so they're kind of a up-and-coming company that has got a lot of really powerful engineering behind all this. And I've seen some of their modeling and drawings of how they engineered this stuff, so it's pretty cool.
And when making an engine like this, tell me about kind of some of the challenges that you come across. Were there any massive headaches that you thought,
well,
damn?
there are some inherent things that go on with large displacement, longer stroke motors that you have to deal with vibration-wise and whatnot. But getting all the specific parts made, and having everything work together in a nice package is the key. There's a lot of bespoke parts in here to make the whole system work. It's not, you can't just bolt a bunch of stuff together. So, there's been some trial and error on these larger displacement engines. Well, it's a labor of love. That's what I do. I've been doing it since I was 15.
One of the prettiest cars I've ever seen and one of the most awesome engines that I've ever seen as well.
Yeah.
I just wish that we could switch it on, right?
Oh, yeah. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And up on the pipe, it's good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right, Jeff, thank you very much for your
welcome.
time.
You're welcome,
Thanks
man.
very much. Cheers.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I'll take the recycling out, shall I? Oh, for f***'s sake.